Some of the stories that were included in Detropia are also now happening not just in Detroit, but across the country. There's a piece in the Wall Street Journal today about showing the implications and the short-sightedness of cutting public transport in cities and, frankly, around the country. Now, understand how this works. The reason why we've had loss of over 600,000 government workers under the Obama administration is because of cutbacks and lack of money coming from the federal government to city and state governments who have seen a marked decrease in revenue because of the devaluation of real estate, because of slack consumer demand, etc. And there's a story in the Wall Street Journal about a guy who is planning to add 150 new call center positions at Dial America's office in Pittsburgh. Not necessarily great jobs, but jobs. And it's not a function of a tax break that Dial America is getting. It's because they have more demand. However, the Port Authority of Allegheny County plans to cut 46 of its 102 bus lines in September. That's nearly a 50% cut, while also raising fares by about 10 to 15% to close a $64 million budget gap. You go back at the beginning of this year when we were talking about the deficit deal, I think it was called BABS, Build America Bonds, which allowed for low-cost loans taken out by states that Republicans quashed, that would have funded things like transportation. This, of course, is being perpetrated by Republican Governor Tom Corbett. More than half of Dial America's 300 Pittsburgh employees travel to work on a bus line slated for elimination. Mr. Griffin, a vice president of Dial America, said, when we moved into this complex, the number one consideration was to be near public transportation line. So there's a couple of different dynamics that are happening here. One, you cut public transportation, you're going to throw people out of work. Not only is it going to inhibit the creation of 150 new jobs, you're probably going to inhibit at least some percentage of those 150 who take public transport now there. So that's dynamic number one. You're hurting people. You're going to hurt the economy by not spending that money. Another prime example of how federal government funding to help out those cities would have created more jobs and maintained more jobs. Two, what it also shows is just how much private corporations rely on public services that don't show up in their bottom line. Dial America doesn't get taxed anymore because they rely on their employees to get to their company by public transportation. So what is Dial America going to do? They're going to have to pay more for employees, possibly, or they may not just be able to grow. So it's here we have, in fact, not a case of when government stops spending, private enterprise is able to flourish, but in fact, a case of the lack of public spending on infrastructure hurts private businesses, hurts aggregate demand because we have more people who are going to be out of work. This is a perfect example of why we need government spending, government investment in infrastructure, government investment in public transportation, and of course, it'll all be ignored.